I've always loved the outdoors. The fresh air, the rustling leaves, the sense of being completely disconnected from the chaos of city life. It was my escape. So when I had a free weekend, I decided to take a solo camping trip to Blackwood Forest, a place I'd heard was peaceful, untouched, and perfect for someone looking to get away from it all. I should have paid more attention to the warnings. Locals had their stories. Talk of strange figures wandering between the trees at dusk, whispers that the forest was cursed, that people disappeared without a trace. But I laughed it off. I thought it was just the usual small-town folklore meant to scare tourists. I wasn't easily spooked. I arrived at Blackwood just before sunset. The towering trees cast long shadows across the forest floor, and as I hiked deeper in, the silence became almost unnatural. No birds, no insects, just the crunch of my boots against the dried leaves. But I pushed the unease aside and set up my tent in a small clearing right next to a narrow, winding trail. The first few hours were peaceful. I sat by the fire, roasted some marshmallows, and listened to music. But as night fully settled in, the temperature dropped and the forest grew darker than I'd ever seen. Even with my lantern, it felt like the darkness was pressing in on me. Then the noises started. At first it was faint, just a soft rustling, like footsteps brushing through the leaves. I thought it might be a deer or some other animal, but as I listened, I realized it was circling my campsite, slow, deliberate. I called out, "Hello? Who's there?" But there was no answer. The footsteps stopped and the silence returned. Trying to shake off the growing fear, I crawled into my tent and zipped it up tight. I told myself it was nothing, just my imagination running wild in the isolation of the woods. But around midnight, I woke up to a sound that froze my blood, a scratching noise, right outside my tent. It was soft at first, like someone dragging their nails across the fabric, but then it grew louder, more insistent. I sat up, my heart pounding, and grabbed the flashlight. I didn't want to unzip the tent, but I had to see what it was. Before I could even move, I saw it, a hand pressed against the side of my tent, pale, thin, with long bony fingers that scraped against the fabric as if it were feeling for a way inside. The hand didn't look human. It was too slender, almost skeletal. The fingers were unnaturally long, and the skin was grayish, like it had been drained of blood. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the hand was gone. I waited, holding my breath, hoping it was over. But the quiet didn't last long. From somewhere deeper in the woods, I heard a voice, faint, but clear enough to make my skin crawl. It was calling my name. Daniel. I'd never told anyone I was coming here. No one knew I was in Blackwood. The voice was soft, almost gentle, but there was something wrong about it, like it was mimicking a human tone, but couldn't quite get it right. I snapped. Grabbing my backpack, I burst out of the tent and sprinted down the trail, flashlight bouncing wildly in my hand. The forest felt like it was closing in on me, the trees towering and twisting as I ran. But no matter how fast I moved, I could still hear the voice, closer now, whispering my name again and again. Daniel, come back. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. But in the beam of my flashlight, I saw it. A pale figure standing between the trees. It was tall, impossibly tall, with limbs that seemed to stretch too far, like a shadow that didn't belong in this world. Its face was hidden, but I could feel its eyes on me, cold and hollow. I ran until my legs gave out, collapsing near a road at the forest's edge. A passing car spotted me and pulled over, and I managed to stammer out enough words for them to call for help. When the police arrived, we went back to my campsite, but the tent was gone. Everything was gone. No trace that I had ever been there, just an empty clearing and the feeling of something watching from the darkness. I haven't been back to Blackwood since, but sometimes, late at night, I still hear that voice, whispering my name from the shadows, and I know it's still out there, waiting.